What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. It looks like Doug Ford has thrown Danielle Smith under the bus. Of course, this is how Team Canada works these days. We're going to have to get into it today. When you look at what's going on in the federal government right now, even with provincial governments, this whole push on Team Canada, I've often said I have no problems with anybody buying Canadian or people saying that, I want to stick behind my country. I want to support my country at a time when I feel that we're being attacked and with the tariffs and everything else. Here's the problem I have with this whole situation is that as soon as the government starts stepping in pandemic style, telling you we're removing things off the shelf and we're not going to give you the option to choose anymore because we don't think that you lack the intelligence to decide what's best for you, that's where I have an issue. I don't think any government has any right to control what you do with your free will in your life. That's just where I stand. I'm sure a lot of people are upset with that. But that being said, I want to focus on what happened with Doug Ford because he's slapping electricity tariffs now on the United States. He's going full on to war. But at the end of his press conference, rather than going home and baking a cheesecake, Doug Ford called on Danielle Smith to add an export tax on Alberta oil headed to the U.S., saying it will instantly change negotiations. Smith immediately rejected the idea. The reason is that Danielle Smith is doing what a leader should do. She's seeking out diplomacy. She doesn't want to go to war with the Americans, especially when Alberta oil and our energy is essentially, as Doug Ford says here, a trump card. Danielle Smith should not have to jump on the grenade for the rest of the country that has been screwing over Alberta from day one, barricading pipelines, stopping them from being built, stopping our products from getting to market, taking royalty payments from a province as they dig their heels in to say, you're not allowed to have any prosperity. The list goes on. To all of a sudden turn around and say, hey, we're friends, right? You can help us out. I don't think so, Doug. Take a listen to what this jackass had to say.
On Friday, BC Premier Eby said he'll be working closely with Ontario and the federal government to develop a coordinated approach to energy export tariffs.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that coordinated approach looks like and what Ontario's role is?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Premier Eby. I think they see income, if I remember correctly, about $1 billion. But it's not just Premier Eby. It's Wab Kinew, Premier Kinew, which is an absolute champion in Manitoba. We also have to look at Premier Legault. I have a call into him before I walked in. And then anyone else. I think New Brunswick ships some energy, Newfoundland. There's a whole bunch of us that ship energy down to the U.S., and we have to maximize it. And then we have to remember the 4.3 million barrels of oil that's coming from Alberta. As Premier Smith said on her comments, I think over the last couple of days, she has the trump card. Well, a message to Premier Smith, one day I think you might have to use that trump card and give approval for an export tax because you want to talk about a trump card, that will instantly change the game. Instantly, when the Americans, and I know the Americans, all of a sudden their gas prices go up 90 to $1 a gallon, they will lose their minds. So we need to at least put that in the window, but I don't direct any of the premiers. I don't direct any of the provinces. It's Team Canada, and that's going to be strictly up to Premier Smith to make that.
So I'm going to cut him off here. You notice what he dropped there? This is Team Canada. So essentially what he's done there with his words is he said Danielle Smith is the bad guy. Danielle Smith is not a team player. She's not willing to help us out. She's not willing to jump on the grenade. It's funny that Doug Ford wants to talk about how we instantly win this trade war with the United States, yet nobody's mentioning the almost 100% tariffs that are being enforced by China against Canada. I don't see anybody pulling Chinese products off the shelf. I don't see Doug Ford not wearing his Canada's not for sale hat that is made in China, saying that this is Team Canada. Now we got to go against China as well. Because if we pulled all of China's products off the shelf, well, we'd be a very, very empty consumer market here in Canada. It's funny how the hypocrisy is ever evident when it comes to these political leaders, that they want to throw the blame at those who are actually trying to fix problems rather than trying to continue to make them look better. Of course, Danielle Smith releasing a statement Today, Premier Doug Ford, Ford Nation, said one day Alberta might have to give approval for a federal tax on oil and gas headed from Alberta to the United States. I understand our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has mused about the same thing. Let me be clear. Alberta will never agree to such an absurd and self-destructive idea. It's not an option. I'm not going to agree to do something that will cost hundreds of thousands of Albertans and Canadians their jobs almost overnight. That would be like placing an export tariff on Ontario auto parts, also a bad idea. There are many effective ways that Canada and Alberta can work together to pursue U.S. President to change course on tariffs. That is not one of them, period. Now, of course, there's a clip down here that we shared in an earlier video, though I won't replay it for you guys, where Danielle has essentially said that trust with the federal government is gone, that we've already given billions of dollars in transfer payments. We're certainly not going to continue to cough up billions more just because they say so. So Danielle essentially being thrown under the bus here is the villain. And while we're talking about being thrown under the bus, it's really hilarious when we look at this statement from Brian Lilley, that Naheed Nenshi, keep in mind that she quoted Mark Carney as our new prime minister. Keep in mind, he's just the leader of the Liberals right now. He hasn't been sworn in as prime minister as of yet. But another person who doesn't even have a position in politics yet, Naheed Nenshi, or Nenshit as I call him, is now mad at Danielle for holding ties with Ben Shapiro over at... I almost said the Daily Mail, Daily Wire. Now, Ben Shapiro has said Trump needs to back off. He's making the Liberals increase their gain. He's hurting Canada by doing what he's doing. I agree with Ben Shapiro's take on things. But Brian Lilley stating out here that Naheed Nenshi's even trying to take advantage and throw Danielle under the bus any chance he can get to be a blowhard. This guy is not an MP. He does not have an elected sit. He does not have a mandate from anybody. He's simply just the leader of the Alberta Party. An appointed leader. This is a ridiculous statement from Naheed Nenshit and the Alberta NDP, says Brian Lilley. If you want to change minds, you need to speak with people. Ben Shapiro is not an extremist and has spoken up for Canada and against tariffs. Bravo, Premier Smith. I couldn't agree more. Of course, you can see this dated March 10th. Naheed Nenshi, leader of Alberta's New Democrats, issued the following statement in response to Danielle Smith speaking in Florida with extremist Ben Shapiro. At a time when Canadians are encouraged to spend their tourism dollars in Canada and the governor of Florida is insulting tourists from Canada, Danielle Smith will be fundraising for a far-right online platform with extremist Ben Shapiro. It's despicable, but not surprising, considering she just granted an interview to the extremist outlet Breitbart News. This is disgusting. Like, they literally find anything to complain about, anything at all. So essentially what Nenshi is saying here is that Danielle shouldn't have the freedom of choice. Danielle, again, is the criminal because she has gone down to the United States at a time when we're saying Team Canada, jump on the Canada train. It's absolutely embarrassing and appalling. But Danielle Smith, I have to say, while some things I questioned last week when she agreed to pull American booze future orders, I will say. She hasn't said to pull it off the shelves, but rather future orders and future orders of VLTs, that she's going to play the game alongside Team Canada. This is the reason why I feel she has to do those things, is because people like Doug Ford, people like Naheed Nenshi, and other premiers are willing to throw her under the bus to villainize her for not being a team player. So certainly I will attempt to cut her some slack on those things as time moves forward. Again, I've reached out to her people multiple times. We're hoping to get her on the channel very soon. But again, given everything that's going on, Danielle is focusing her interviews right now on higher platforms other than this one on YouTube. Now, that doesn't mean she does not want to come on here, but as soon as we can make it arranged, as soon as she has an opening in her schedule, rest assured Danielle will hopefully come back on the channel to talk about everything that's happening, Team Canada, and essentially what Alberta's plans are for the future. If anything, this just makes a more solid case for those that jump on the 51st state idea and Alberta secession. When you think about Mark Carney coming in, when you think about Doug Ford throwing us under the bus, saying that we're responsible for Canada's future for the first time in God knows how many decades after they've been stepping on our necks. When I say stepping on our necks, I'm talking about government, not people. Everybody's got to remember that. I'm not attacking Canadian citizens here. Let me know what you guys think down below. Is Danielle doing what she should be doing? Should she be putting export tariffs on oil? Do you feel that Doug Ford is right in this situation? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, you click your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming weekly show, where I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we go over everything that happened this week in politics, as well as everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead. I always enjoy sitting down and hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos in those live chats, and we look forward to seeing what you have to say this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, again here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.